All right, what is happening as I'm jumping on live right now? It is 7:01 p.m. It is Tuesday, the 14th, and tonight we're going to talk about natural performance enhancers. So there's really a lot of things that you can do in strongman, really kind of anything in general, but we're going to talk specifically about strongman and strength training that can enhance your performance both in training and in competition that I think are overlooked. I think what most people get wrong with just their entire approach to strongman is they really only focus on, let's call them like big macro concepts, right? Of course, like you got to hit your training, you have to do that. You have to, eat the right amount of protein, get the right carbs, this and that. But we're going to talk about like little things that can supercharge your performance, right? So we're gonna give this about one more minute and then we're gonna jump in. I'm gonna do some jotting down on the whiteboard, but if you're here, you're joining me, I see a couple of you right now, feel free to ask me some questions. I'm gonna prop this up just a little bit higher. Do like this to be some Q&A, so if anybody's here, awesome. Shoot me some questions. If not, if you're watching the replay, go ahead, just drop me a comment on the video or shoot me a DM. All my social channels are the same as my YouTube at Stephen M. Coyne. So, all right, so let's talk about the first thing. These are natural performance enhancers. So let's write this right out the gate. Performance enhancement, yeah. Okay, so let's just talk about specifically relating to your workouts first. Okay, number one thing we're starting with to enhance your performance is going into every single training session with the right attitude. Okay, now you may have be thinking, if you watch this video or anything, you're thinking performance enhancers. Oh, right, this guy's going to talk about herbs and supplements. And like we will get to some of that stuff, but this is, always something you need to remember has an impact on your entire body, right? So one of my favorite things that I think about all the time is, if you were to put a set of speakers next to a bowl of water, right? You can play different frequencies and different vibrations and even like have directional thought or even put a label on that bowl of water that says different emotions, like the word happy or the word angry. And what's really interesting is they've done this over many, many different experiments and forums, but they found that there's more harmony with the water cells into each other. They actually like form different cohesive patterns with different specific positively charged emotions. So if you were to put like happy or joy or love next to like a bowl of water, or have some sort of, harmonic rhythm or beat or frequency played next to it, again, it like works really, really cohesively. But if you were to play a bunch of like static and distorted noises, it actually, creates a distorted pattern in the way the cells themselves align and are structured. Now, you're probably thinking like he's going off on some weird tangent, but just bear with me, right? So since our body is something I believe like 70% water, and actually your muscles are very, very high percentage water. It's like 70 to 80% water your muscles are 70 to 80% water. That means that like just the way that you are thinking is affecting every single little cell in your body. So if you wanted to perform at your very highest capability, you should be thinking good, positive thoughts to allow for good energy flow, good performance. Okay. So do your best to like check yourself, whatever it is. This help. It's something that's really helpful if you're going to work out first thing in the morning, because you can kind of go into this whole thing with a clean slate. But I've known a lot of people that work out later in the evening that go in and carry the baggage of their entire workday with them as they go in. So they're kind of holding themselves back by just carrying the weight of those things that happen, all the BS, all the nonsense, this and that. So number one, to enhance your performance is just have a good attitude. Okay. Now, when we're talking about things that are like natural, I want to like stray away from, like compounds and supplements. I want to like have you think about just like an overall perspective on life and how you should approach things as like what you can instill and install like just right here within yourself. So internal and natural, not necessarily like external, right? So this is a really, really, really good one. These all, of course, tie together. So I want you to try and also think like, how do these things like integrate and interlink? And then how can they amplify each other to get better and better and better? All right, number 2 is going to be visualization. If you've watched any of my content, you probably know that I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of this. What's up, Joseph? What's up, brother? All right, so visualization, if you've watched any of my stuff, you know that I'm a huge believer in this because it has worked absolute wonders for me. So this can go hand in hand with attitude, right? Like if you're going into your training session or a competitive environment, you have to visualize and see yourself as successful. So I've been doing a little personal work and study on this visualization recently because if you've ever dug into any like manifestation techniques or like, quantum physics, like changing, creating reality, they say that to really get this done, that you have to emotionally charge your visualization. So it's not good enough to just, sit there and like think about it. You have to really like feel emotion with it. So I think the best way to do that, and I'm learning this a little bit through a book by Stella Adler, a acting coach about method acting, is you need to really focus in on, now we're going to the external of that setting to put yourself into it, right? So if you're walking into the gym, let's say, same gym, same routine, you're going in for your deadlifts, start by picturing the deadlift platform. Start by picturing what's around it. Is there a squat rack that's next to it, attached to it? Is it next to, a set of barbells? Is there a chalk bowl next to it? So start by identifying things and like literally put yourself in your shoes when you're standing there on that deadlift platform of like what is going on around you. So start by seeing these things. Next, I would start by feeling these things. So are you in like an open air garage type gym? Are you in a cold AC place? Are you, you can think about this. Like if you've ever been at like a CrossFit gym or any of these box gyms, there's probably some big fans that you can feel going on. You can probably feel the humidity if you're working out somewhere in Florida. So start with those like sensory inputs that you're going to have. And then, think about the positive emotions that you can take into like a good set. So let's just kind of keep talking about deadlifts, right? Like if you're watching this, chances are, how good it feels to like smash a deadlift workout. You know what I mean? So just kind of recall that, while you're thinking about all of those like external things. So you're standing on the deadlift platform. You see that chalk bowl next to you. You see those bars over there. You see the rack over there. You see the cardio machines that are over in the corner. And you just feel like, oh yeah, just smash that, right? So, doing this increases the chances that you're going to succeed because one, it will put your attitude in the right place. So this is a technique to improve your attitude, but also you've probably heard me say this before if you watch my videos, the central nervous system cannot distinguish the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real live experienced situation. So if we do this visualization intense enough, we're pretty much just giving ourselves a practice round of having a good, successful session, okay? Now, this is very important going into competition too, because it's very easy for us to get nerves and jitters and like maybe some performance anxiety. But if we put ourselves in that situation, we're going to have experience being there. Like it's natural. I still get a little bit of nerves and jitters, like my heart beats before I'm getting out and getting ready to go out on the floor. Even if it's something I'm very good at, it's a high stress, tenseful situation. But because I know it's coming, I can really use that energy positively because I'm used to being there. And then I just go out and do it again. Okay. So far we have attitude and visualization. So let's keep moving on here. I'm going to put energize. You know what? Let's also put prime. Okay, so energize and prime. Now, with strongman and strength training in particular, it's very important that we're going to want to do things with power and energy and explosiveness. So it's really important to get your body in that exact state. All right. Now, chances are that you were not like in an activated, powerful state when you were walking into the gym. You really shouldn't be, because this is a heightened state on purpose that we're trying to go into to perform if it's, you know, an explosive effort or something like that. So when we're going into like any really big lift, how can you set yourself up for success? We've already talked about attitude and visualization, but this is going to be really actionably very physical. But of course, everything feeds together. There's no isolated incidents of the mind and body, but we're going to use our body to prime us for success. So some examples of this. Deadlifts are really easy, so I'm going to talk about that, but give you some other examples. Doing an explosive plyometric movement that utilizes the hip hinge, just like a deadlift, is going to prime you to move powerfully and explosively with heavy weight. Okay, this is the reason why we want to do things like dynamic warm-ups before going into any lift, because if we're doing a static stretch, you know, reach and hold, that may develop flexibility, but it's not going to get your body in a state where it's going to move explosively. It's going to do the exact opposite. So dynamic stretches, you know, are things like leg kicks, right? Like arm circles. We want to really get things moving like really fast, or like, you know, bench press and upper body stuff. I like plyometric push-ups, or literally like a medicine ball chest pass where you hold here and like pop explosively. So we're getting that like that twitch going literally in our muscles that, you know, they're ready now to fire quick and hard. Now, what's also good about this is, of course, it does get you mentally primed as well, that we need to move powerfully and explosively. So this is a theory, or it's not a theory, it's a principle called post-activation potentiation. So, and all that is again, it's like we're turning our nervous system up to an 11, so that's ready to perform at that highest level when we're getting into our like heaviest weights. There's a couple of different ways you can apply this. First would be to start your workout with plyometrics. So you could do just like 5 to 10 minutes of sandbag throws, or in some instances, you can do it like immediately before a lift. So I have one of my clients right now who's doing an overhead sandbag toss so we can get his like hips really explosive and activated before he gets into a push press on a log. And that's getting his hips to power so fast. He's just popping that log off of his chest. So really, it's just priming yourself and like getting yourself on the right like energetic wavelength for that sort of thing. And of course, again, use some of these things. Use your attitude and use your visualization powers to combine and stack and build, right? All right, so far we have attitude, visualization, energize, or is measure. Okay, so this is measure. What gets measured gets managed. All right. Now, I'm guilty of this sometimes because I do not measure every single thing that I possibly could. I've done a really good job here in the last like 2 months or so, but I'm talking about measuring even little things like, you know, your time in between sets. There are hard scientific principles that go to determine like what is an optimal rest period, right? So why don't you use that? You know, it really does make a pretty big difference, especially if it's adding up over time. So really try to measure every single thing that you can. Hopefully, if you're following a training program or you have a coach, you have that part already locked in. So you're measuring your progress through weights and numbers about where you're going in the weight room. Hopefully, you're measuring your foods so you know exactly what you're putting in with a determined and destined end goal to get to where you want to go. But there's really like no shortage of these things. I'll give you an example of something I'm doing now is I'm working on like some Olympic lifting movements like split jerks and things like that. So I'm actually measuring precisely and marking out like where you can't see my feet, but where my feet are landing so that I can have consistency over and over and over again, right? So there's little things like that, like your footwork. There's a really cool product that's called the Foot Map, which actually has a bunch of lines and markings that can help you put your feet like in a grid and in a coordinate. So a lot of us people that have been lifting for a long time are like stuck in our patterns and our ways. And sometimes that's great and perfect if you have it correct. But oftentimes I see people that need to like rework their squat stance or they need to rework their deadlift stance just because they've been doing it wrong for so long. If that's you and you have to change and work around some things, you need to be making sure that you're putting your feet, your arms, whatever it is, in the right position over and over and over again. A lot of this stuff is really easy with barbells when you're grabbing them because you've got those knurling marks, you've got the rings, so you can really clearly see every single time where you're putting it. But you don't really have the same thing like on a deadlift platform where you have those marks and you can step up and say, oh, I'm right there. You know what I mean? So, all right, attitude, visualization, energize, prime, measure. All right, so these are all kind of things, we're talking about like leading in and going into like specifically your workouts. But let's talk about, obvious common one that we hit all the time. This should be review for you, but that's sleep, right? Sleep is the best performance enhancer there is, okay? It would be wrong to make a list of these things and not include this. So you should be doing your best to get regular, routine sleep. And I'm going to go ahead and write number 6, rhythm. Okay, so one of the best techniques for getting good, high quality sleep is to go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. Why is that? We are creatures of habits. So if we are putting our body into regular intervals over and over and over, it is going to be inclined to fall asleep faster, get into deeper stages of REM sleep and recovery sleep much quicker if we go to bed every single night at 9 a.m., right? It just knows, okay? We are always working with our rhythms around it. I'm sure you have heard the term circadian rhythm, okay? But there are actually a lot of different things that are going on in the body that like put us on these cycles that we can work with. Josh Bryant, author of Jailhouse Strong, wrote again about, what's the deal with these guys that are in prison that come out and they're jacked, they're ripped, and they didn't have any sort of access to special equipment. They have prison gruel food. And one of the main reasons for that is regular routine. These guys are on the same exact freaking routine every single day. And this, again, starts to feed in to these first 3, right? Like, so attitude, like let's kind of talk about earlier, I was talking about people that would go in after their work day and they're like really just like weighed down by the weight of all their stresses from the day. When I used to go and work out after school, I was the opposite. I was like so freaking jazzed up to go hit the weight room that would create an overall so much better experience for me. I just like could not wait to get out of school and go hit the weights. So that really helps when you have rhythm. So like, again, let's just kind of relate this to like the prison yard or whatever. If every single day at 10 o'clock, like, hey, that's when we get to go out to the yard and lift some weights. Like, you're going to be so excited. It's going to be the high point of your day. And you're putting yourself in a routine and a pattern where you start to get excited for this. And it'll start to happen naturally. It's like that Pavlovian response where your body just knows like, hey, it's time to, get to work. Other things that work really well for rhythm, and this can kind of like go together with energize and prime is, what's your routine before you go into like a lift and a session? And this is, why energizing and priming is so important. A lot of people just kind of walk into the gym and do whatever, or they do like a really aimless like pointless warm up or they do no warm up whatsoever. I think it's very important to have like a set, ready to go routine, not just for your training session, but for your warm ups, so you can get in there and just like start turning on all of these signals that it's go time. So rhythm really kind of counts in two ways. Rhythm counts about like, what are you doing around the clock, but it also counts as in like, what are you doing in the immediate moments, like leading up to a session or leading up to a lift, right? Like everybody's seen these routines that people have before they deadlift. A lot of powerlifters are like way over the top with this, and I think it's a waste of energy. But what do you tell yourself, or what do you do before you go up to a deadlift? Right? Like it doesn't matter how many times you have done that lift before, you're going to do it again. You're going to have to do it heavier eventually, or harder, or more fatigued. But you can take your mind and put it into some like really good focused places by having some sort of drill or performance or whatever you want to call it to get yourself like ready to rock, right? For me, very simple. If I'm on a deadlift bar, if it's a 1 rep max attempt, I just like to give the bar a grip. Nice little pull on it. 1, 2, 3, and go. So it's just the trigger and the signs for me. It's the rhythm that I use to get in the zone. And sleeping can get you in that around the clock rhythm. All right. So we've gotten so far 6 down: attitude, visualization, energize / prime, measure, sleep, rhythm. I'm going to put relax. Fucking relax. All right. This is one that a lot of people have a lot of problems with. Listen, there's a lot going on in our world. There's a lot happening. We all got bills to pay, inflation, wars, blah, 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 blah. But here's the reality. There's a lot of the stuff that you absolutely cannot change and doesn't affect you. I've spent so much time over my years listening to some stupid freaking political podcasts and this and that. And like, while it's like, entertaining and like energizing, and I'm telling myself like it's good to be informed, like nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, since I started like shifting my attention into other places. Like getting outraged actually is a boost of dopamine, right? So it's no different from like scrolling on your phone or like watching something entertaining, playing video games. And like, while it's okay to have some of these things as an outlet, you need to like make sure that they're in only the dose that's going to, let's just put it this different way. Just don't let it affect you negatively. Because a lot of people are like so tied into like what's trending, what's on Twitter, and they're always just like distracted by what's going on. Guess what? Government sucks, always has, always will. Okay? Always been wars, always has been, always will be. Okay? But we're in like the modern era where there's 24-hour news cycles still. And now it seems like somehow that's expanded to even greater levels with all of these different things on social media. Every single person in the world can share some absolute freaking nonsense. Like, can you believe what's happening in Ukraine? Like, blah, 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 right? Everybody's got a voice, for better or for worse, and the negative ones get amplified. And it's very easy to see something online and take it the wrong way. So while I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, you just got to freaking relax. You have to relax, worry about what you can control, and that's that. If you really focus in on the things that you are in full control of, you're going to have an easier time executing all the things that you need to do and get better and improve. And guess what? If you're somebody who has a steady measure of success with the things you really care about, you are going to stop caring about all that other bullcrap. You are not going to have time for it. So like, it really is like, if you got time for that, like I ain't got time for you. It's good to be informed to a point. I feel the way I feel about things, but like it in no way dominates me or my life or has any impact or influence on the way I go about like my day to day. Okay. So just relax. That's a, whole topic there. Right now, I guess I do have one more thing to say about that is a lot of people are very, very intentionally inflammatory on social media. So I need you to remember that if you're looking at something and you get triggered, guess what? You fell for it. Okay. Like you fucking fell for it. So like people share stuff with me all the time. Like, can you believe this person said that? Or like, look at what this person said. And like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Live your life. I have more important things to worry and focus on. Okay. Simple enough. All right. So let's keep moving on. So we got attitude, visualization, energize, measure, sleep, rhythm, relax. I'm going to say bond. Okay. Bond. This is just talking about who do you have your bonds with? Your family, your friends, your workout partners. You need to strengthen the hell out of these, right? No man is an island. This is very true. Who do you have on your team that is going to support and lift you up? Because we are better with other people around us. We are better with good people around us. So this is in two parts. One, like make sure you have good people around you. And two, make sure you're not forming bonds with people that are disastrous or not right for your mission. Like sometimes it's, this kind of what happens with like breakups and relationships. Sometimes it's like at one point in time, that person might have been right for you, but at some point it like doesn't happen anymore. You have to go your separate ways. Like this is not just true for like, romantic relationships. Sometimes it's true in like a business and a professional sense. Like it worked, and it was really good for you up to a certain point, but like you have to split ways. And this stuff is important because it like really affects everything else, right? Like if you have these like good people in your life, like it helps your attitude, which will help you like visualize and quickly energize and prime. It'll help you like sleep better. It'll help you relax. I've had different dealings where I've had to work with people much longer than I would have liked to have. And I was always tensed and stressed out about it. And I couldn't wait for it to be over because it was a horrible fit, but I got like kind of roped in, for too long and it was a disaster. So instead, change things around eventually. I've had to go out of my way to like, reach out to people sometimes. Like this takes some effort. Like I know you've got your homies out there that you haven't talked to forever. Like it would be so awesome, you to give them a call and say, hey, what's up? Even if it's like, hey, I know we haven't talked for some time, but it is so worth it. And you freaking know it. Think about the last time that one of your good friends that you haven't talked to in 10 years, 2 years, whatever, a year, gave you a call and was like, what's up, man? If you guys are really boys or that's like really your friend, like it's just going to be good to hear from them. Think about how that felt for you. Like, oh man, it was so good to talk to blank today or whatever. Sometimes it's not even that person that you moved away from and is like way on the other side of the country. It can be that person down the street from you that just for whatever reason, your lives have gotten busy and you fell out of touch. Like you have to make sure that you're doing these things with your bonds in order to just like live a better, happier, more fulfilling life. So when we're talking about like performance enhancers, like, right, these are all really life enhancers because you're not going to like be at your strongest if your life is a complete freaking disaster. Like that's just the truth, right? Like very, very simple. So yeah, this is paramount for a coach-athlete relationship. Absolutely. Now there's other things to consider too. Like you could still, listen, my first coach, I still regard as the greatest, the best strength coach in the entire world. However, I chose to start working with my new coach, Max McCall, because like I thought that he was just a better fit for that situation. So like, listen, I still have that bond with Josh Bryan. He's still the man, like forever and ever and ever. But I had to like create a new one to allow me to get better. So I just want to point that out. That was a comment I just got. Mark Cox said this is paramount for a coach-athlete relationship. Absolutely. You have to like really be very conscious and considerate of like if this is truly pushing you towards your goals or not. All right. So I doubt anybody in here is involved with this story, but just a quick story. I have some good friends that are local to this scene that all do jujitsu, and they were having a very terrible time at their gym. And they all moved over to another one because like, the place was not getting taken care of. The coaching was subpar. The owner of the place was like acting irresponsibly, like not just like as a coach and an owner and an instructor, but they'd be having like get-togethers and he'd be publicly talking and giving speeches about how like this guy grows his own drugs and weed and shrooms and stuff. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I cannot hang around this anymore. Like, you're not taking care of us. And these guys had all been there for 5 or 6 years, but it just like comes to a point where like, wow, we are not living our best with this individual. It doesn't matter like how far we have come. We have like unfortunately come to a breaking point here. They all shifted gears. They're all super stoked, learning new things, growing, exposed to new environments. That's that. Okay. So I could go on and on and on about really any one of these, but I have a good one next. So number 9 is novelty. And I want to like tie in novelty with rhythm because there's an important element to rhythm and routine and doing a lot of the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But you do need some level and aspect of novelty or something that's like new and fresh to keep you excited about like your life in general, right? There's so many good things out there and you need to get exposed to them. Okay. And why is this important? So this is important because when we're talking about these things, like we talk about with bonds and like kind of constantly reassessing, like if this is the right fit for you, you also need to be reassessing and just like always checking in all those little things you're measuring. Like, is this training program actually getting me towards my goal? I want to deadlift 800 pounds. Is this getting me closer? You're only going to know if you're measuring. Are my foods getting me closer? I want to have abs. I'm measuring. Am I seeing any progress or am I gaining weight? Like, you can only know by like measuring, but through novelty and exposing yourself to different things, you're empowering yourself to be more creative and be more open to other possibilities that are out there. So if you were just stuck in the same rhythm and the same routine over and over and over and over again, you are not going to grow. We all probably know this person at a gym, the gym you're at now, a gym you've been to in the past, who does the exact same workout they have always done, and they look the exact same they have always looked. If you are here watching this right now, you better not be that fucking person, okay? You better be somebody who wants to grow and continue to grow forever and ever and ever, however that means, okay? We all know that person, right? Like, same story. Like, they're doing the same workout. There are these guys that I know at my gym who have literally done the same powerlifting routine for 30 years, and they are strong, but they have not gotten stronger in decades, right? So it's just that simple. By exposing yourself to new experiences and new things, it's leaving your mind open to new possibilities. This could be as simple as reading new books, listening to new audio podcasts, right? Like going to the movies. It could be that simple, but I highly suggest that you do something a little more natural because these are natural performance enhancers, like going to a state park, going to the beach, going out for a walk, things like that. What's really nice about things in nature, maybe you've heard the quote, like, a man never steps in the same river twice because it's not the same river and he's not the same man. That's, one thing that's really cool. Even if you go to your like same kind of natural spot over and over again, like for me, it's the beach. The beach is always a little different. You know what I mean? The waves are a little different. There might be more wildlife. There's more this, there's more clouds, there's this and that. But it's something that you do have to kind of go out of your way to be good about, right? So get out, experience new things. If I'm going to get real crazy, I'm going to tell everybody I think you should all go skydiving. That was the coolest thing of all time. But one of the best things that I ever did for myself and my growth as a strength athlete was in 2022. I did, over the course of the year, I did strongman, powerlifting, jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, Highland Games, sumo wrestling, and I'm leaving one or two things out. Did I say powerlifting? Whatever. But it was 7 or 8 different types of competition. So the novelty of all those different experiences actually showcased me all these little different things that I then took into strongman training to get better. Now I am literally top 10 in the world right now. So, I learned certain elements of throwing and explosiveness from Highland Games. I learned things about, being relaxed and calm through the jiu-jitsu and the sumo wrestling. I learned about how other people try to get in your head through jiu-jitsu and sumo wrestling. I learned how to block that out. I learned how to take really smart, good attempts at a 1-rep max and warm up in crap environments thanks to powerlifting. I learned a lot of things about pacing myself because of CrossFit. This is only happening because I exposed myself to new things. It's a willingness to like change and like just try out different shit. It doesn't mean you have to do it forever and ever and ever and ever, but you do need some exposure to new things. Okay. Because again, that's about like being open to change, but you also have to find the balance with rhythm, right? Because if you find something that works and it continues to work, you should stick with it, but you still need to sprinkle some novelty in just so you're ready to assess and analyze what's not working when that time comes. Mark Cox says, if you always did what you've always done, you will always get what you always got. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And another one that I talk about all the time, but it doesn't matter. You need to do this all the time. I don't care how many times you've heard it from me or anybody else, is you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. The placebo effect is so real, so real. I always like to talk about the Harvard rash cream study. Harvard rash cream study is they took all sorts of different people and administered a cream to them. Some of these people had a rash on their skin. Some people did not. They would tell a mix of different stories to these groups of people. They would say like, hey, rash cream people, this is just going to do nothing to your rash. They would also say, hey, rash people, this cream is going to heal your rash. Then the people that didn't have a rash, they would say the same thing. They said, hey, this is going to do nothing. Or on the flip side, they said, hey, this is actually going to give you a rash. So whatever they told them, in more cases than not, is what happened. It was the same, just nonsense, plain placebo cream for everything. But those people that believed that they were going to grow a rash from nothing actually started to develop that rash. And on the flip side, people believed like, oh, this product is going to heal my rash. It started to heal from absolutely nothing. Okay? So that is just a small example. There are millions of them. Go Google placebo for yourself. I should do a full post talking about all the different studies and examples on this someday because it's so good. But if you believe that you're going to grow a rash in a certain area and it starts to grow, what does that mean for your potential, like as a strength athlete, right? It means you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your program. You need to believe in all of this stuff that we talked about today. You need to even just like constantly remind yourself, like, because I've changed my attitude, I'm ready to have a great workout. I'm going to smash this. Because I visualize, because I like feel all these things, just like, talk to yourself and like really like bolster all these different things through your belief. Like if you believe this program that I am doing is getting me strong, it's more likely to work. There's all these things that are going down at the very smallest level in your cells that are just charging you up to enhance your performance. So these are all, again, you said, oh, natural performance enhancers, creatine. You're probably thinking I might be talking about supplements or herbs or things like that. But these are, again, a lot of things that are what I call internal, but they are natural. They're all like within us that we have the power to control, right? You might not have the power to, go down to GNC and buy creatine because your car broke down, but you have the power to turn your attitude around, to visualize, to energize yourself, to measure what you're doing. You have the ability to go to sleep at the right time. You have the ability to stay in rhythm. You have the ability to get yourself to relax. You have the ability to strengthen or weaken, if needed, your bonds. You have the power and the ability to expose yourself to new things. You also have the power and the ability to believe in yourself. So you need nothing else other than yourself to do these things. Okay? Just that simple. So that is that. I'm going to kind of open up the field. Looks like we got 8 in here right now. So if anybody has a question or something they would like to add in, I would love to hear it. Big MF or mindset, beast mode, big man mindset, right? Like all this stuff is so important. And like I start to get charged up when I'm talking about it because I feel so strongly about it. Like belief is also something that you can sort of trick yourself into, right? Like a lot of people, how many people do you know who have it on their freaking stupid Instagram bio, like want to be strongman or like want to be this or mediocre power lifter or whatever? Like, well, guess what? You're actually making that shit real because you're telling yourself that that's what you are and that's why you are one. So I don't know why you would ever even freaking joke about that stuff. It's ridiculous. And like, I honestly find it like pretty freaking disgusting. I don't want to even like be around people who talk about themselves that way. While still at the same time, like, I will lift you up. Like, the only reason I'm so like put off by that and literally disgusted by it is because I know that these people are better than that. So whoever's here, like if that's you right now and I catch you with that shit in your bio, I'm calling you out. I'm gonna give you a good old smacking because you're better than that crap. But anyways, yeah, big mindset. Trapper King Sean Fennelly says, big MF for mindset, hashtag beast mode. That's right. That's right. You know, why would I ever, if I want to, let's put this a different way. Think about any single person that you like in strongman or strength sports or sports. Are they timid? Are they telling themselves that they're a mediocre strongman? Are they telling themselves they're not good at this? You cannot find me one example of somebody that thinks that way, that's a professional and at the top of their craft. You cannot find a single freaking person that does that. So why, if you want to be any good, would you do it? I just do not get it. It is crazy. Earl Nightingale calls it the strangest secret in the world. It's like what people choose to do and don't choose to do with their mind. The strangest secret is like actually that you have all the power within. So believe in yourself. You have all the power in you to 10x what you are doing right now. So get out there and make it happen. Let's finish with what Mark Cox has to say. Self-talk has been huge for me. It's usually negative, like don't be a pussy, or I put myself in scenarios like I need to rep this to save my family. So that's a good way to visualize something. You know, actually pretty famously, or maybe not famously, but Eddie Hall has talked about when he deadlifted 500 kilos for the first time, what he was actually imagining is that he had to pull a car off of his son to save his life. That is how he recruited the strength for that. So when we talked about like visualizing and like turning these things on with emotion, imagine the emotion that he was feeling. He literally went through hypnosis to train this ability to tap into a place where he felt and believed that he had to pull a car off of his son to save his life. And there is where he tapped into the energy in order to, you know, really do one of the greatest feats in strength history, be the first person to pull 500 kilos. So that's that. So self-talk, believe, as Caspar says, conceive, believe, achieve. For all things strongman, clubstrongman.com. Come join us. We got a 7-day free trial right now. We're going to talk more about mindset. We got training programs. We got a couple cool guest coaching calls coming up with some pro strongmen, including Atlas Stone training with Adam Dirks, who coaches a couple other world-class strongmen. Grip training with Joel Dirks, one of the strongest grip strength individuals alive. And then we have a moving events seminar with Andrew Clayton, 3-time world's strongest man, coming up, as well as a lot of other fun stuff. So join us on the inside, 7-day free trial, clubstrongman.com. If you ever want to reach out, any of my socials at Stephen M. Coyne, they're the same on every single channel. Reach out to me, say what's up, but get out there and have a championship day.